And now I'm in a situation where I've been in Danielson's shoes, I've been in Coach Chin's shoes, and now I can really look at it through a different lens. Like, it's not just about being the best deep corner coach I can be. It's about how can I serve the coordinator? How can I be the best corners coach that serves the coordinator? And how can I make his life a little bit easier? Because I know all the stresses and all the things that he has on his plate. And the same thing with the head coach. Is there anything that I can do to take something off of him, or at least give him a different perspective? And
welcome to Inside the Headset, presented by CoachComm. Each episode pulls back the curtain on the coaching profession, spotlighting voices from every level of the game and offering lessons and insights for your own path. But first, a word from CoachComm.
When the game's on the line, your play call can mean the difference between winning and losing. Don't let poor communication cost you the game. For 35 years, CoachComm has been the trusted leader in coaching communication, delivering solutions with unmatched sound quality, performance, and durability. That's why thousands of coaches in high schools across the country trust CoachComm. You put in the hours to prepare. Make sure your communication delivers when it counts. CoachComm, giving coaches the ultimate competitive edge. Visit CoachComm.com to learn more.
Follow Inside the Headset on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like and leave a review. It really helps others discover the show. We drop new episodes each week, so hit that follow button and never miss a moment. Now, let's get inside the headset.
Coach Warren, what's going on, man? How you doing?
going on, man? Good to see you again.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's been a while since the convention, and I don't think I've seen you since you've been at Boise State, but I've seen you here and there around, man. So it's good to be on the horn with you. And as you know, man, we just kind of talk about your career, everything that you've kind of accomplished and a lot in one spot you've been able to accomplish, and then a lot here more recently, a lot of major success, kind of been on that national stage in the playoffs. But before we get into all that, let's talk about when you knew you wanted to be a part of this great profession.
It started really right out of high school. I hurt my knee my senior year of basketball. So went to UC Davis, and those coaches helped me get surgery over the summer. And so I ended up gray shirting, so really not starting until January. So my basketball coach knew I was going to be in town. And so Eddie Wilson asked me to come coach with him on his basketball team. So started coaching basketball and kind of fell in love with just the coaching part of it, like teaching somebody something and seeing that they got a little bit better at it, and then seeing them going through stuff off the court, and being able to give them the things that I went through as a young student athlete. And so really kind of fell in love with coaching. And so I was going throughout college. I actually coached high school basketball all 4 years. So
wow.
So they scheduled around my practices and around everything that I needed to do for football, and I was able to drive down and kind of coach for my high school. So that's where I thought my path was going. I thought I was going to be a high school basketball coach, and we had a ton of success during those years. So that's where I thought my career was going to go. And then Mike Morosky at UC Davis and Rich Scangarella at UC Davis, some coaches that were on our offensive staff, kind of saw that I was interested in coaching. And then I ended up getting injured again my junior year, hurt my knee. And so I had two freshmen behind me and really just helped them out as much as I could to be able to learn the protections and things like that. And so they said, okay, I think I see that you're interested in coaching, but I think you can do it football at this level. And so they were some big mentors for me early on. Morosky was the first one to actually tell me he believed in me to be a football coach. And then Rich Scangarella ended up giving me my first job after my junior year to be the running back coach at Southern Utah. So after the season, he called me. It was a couple of days before Christmas. He called me and was asking me some weird questions, like, am I coming back? And I'm like, what's up? Like, you never called me. Like, what's going on? And he was like, well, I just took the job at Southern Utah to be the OC, and I want you to be my running back coach, GA running back coach. And I said, let me call my girlfriend at the time, wife now. And she was all about it. She wanted to take the leap of faith and do that. So it was awesome opportunity. And the crazy part about that story, 3 days later, he called me and said he's staying at UC Davis. So I think you have a job, but you might want to call Ed Lamb.
Oh, that's crazy. I tell you a funny story. I left Texas A&M Commerce, my first collegiate job, and I took a job at Millsap College. I had an interview with a guy named Rich Scangarello, and he was the OC at the time. And man, I don't know, man, we just hit it. Me and him really clicked, and I spent about 2 weeks with him. And he's like, man, I like you a lot, but I'm headed to Northern Arizona. So I didn't get to hang around him too much. And the cool thing was he said, when the time is right, I'm going to call you one day and offer you a job because I really want to work with you. And he, sure enough, he did. He did it about a year later. He called me, offered me a job. I didn't take it. But yeah, man, Rich he's an awesome dude, and he went on to have a fantastic career through the league and all that kind of stuff. A small world. I did not know y'all had any connection, man. That's pretty cool. But I want to rewind back a little bit. So basically, you're playing college football, which is already probably stressful enough. You're dealing with injuries, you're trying to make a mark on the field. But in this little bit of free time that you have between being a student and an athlete, you're driving over to your high school and you've been a basketball coach. And it sounds like you're not just a guy setting up cones. It sounds like you're getting on the court and you're, calling offenses, helping install a basketball program. What have, as you kind of been through all the different lanes in the profession as a assistant and GA and coordinator and head coach, what are some of the things that you learned as a basketball coach at such a young age that you still apply to today, maybe?
Yeah, I think one thing I took from our high school basketball coach was the way he prepared. And it was cool because I coached JV and varsity, so I was able to coach a little bit of both. But the varsity coach, he was very prepared. Like, it was always a structure to practice. Like, it flowed from one thing to another. So there was always a reason we're doing the drill, and that drill built into another drill. And then till we got into the team, and that was like the thing we wanted to get good at during the day. So it might be help side defense and getting in position to take a charge. And so he would start off with like an individual period and get those things done. And then he'd work it up into a drill where there's multiple guys in this drill. And then when we got into 5-on-5, it would kind of lead into that. So he was always really prepared and strategic with everything. And then our JV head coach, Tony Bryant, he was cared about the player so much. Like, he loved them. He wasn't as like detailed and oriented as far as like the structure of it, but those dudes would run through a wall for him, and got to see kind of how both men were able to be successful at their own in their own lanes, doing it their own way. And so learning that early on, like, you need to be detailed, you need to love your players, but at the end of the day, you got to be who you are, because that's how the players are going to – you can't fake it for too long. And so you can't leave what you don't live long term. Kind of learned that as I got older, but going back and thinking about that was something that I really – took on to early on. Is like, you got to live what you're actually trying to lead your guys to do. Absolutely.
Now, as you're kind of dealing with these injuries, and so you're having some of these opportunities to obviously get integrated as a coach in basketball, but essentially, you're an older cat on the roster, and you're helping those freshmen when you're going through that second injury there. And they recognize that. Did you go in there into their office and say, hey, man, this is something that I might want to do at this level? Because like you said, you were doing the high school thing, and that's kind of where you thought your career was going. They told you they believed in you at that level. At what point did you kind of say, hey, you know what, I might get a college thing a try?
Yeah, so couple things. Just I had a baby at 19, so my freshman year. So Coach Biggs was a big influence of me just staying in college and doing all that. He really, and that's one of the reasons I got into coaching, like, because you can help people off the field. And if it was for him, like, if it wasn't for him, like, I'm probably not in this situation. But he told me if I can stay with my girlfriend at the time, stay in college, and complete a degree, like, you're going to have an opportunity to not only have a strong marriage because you've been through some difficult things, but you're going to be successful because you can go through hard stuff. So that was something that, like, was important to me, that Biggs helped me out. And then the other two coaches I keep mentioning, Morosky and Skang, Morosky kind of just came to me on a whim one day because I learned the protections pretty quick. And so he's like, I think you can coach at our level if this is something that you want to do. And then it was funny. We leave Southern Utah. I call my wife because it's windy, it's cold. We beat Southern Utah on the road as I'm a player at this point. And we're driving back to Vegas because you got to fly out of Vegas. And so I get on the plane. I just happen to sit next to Rich Scangarella. And I tell him, hey, like, I enjoyed the season towards the end of the year. Like, I enjoyed the coaching part of it. Like, do you think I can do it at this level? And I've already been coaching basketball and this and that. And so I think that was the conversation that sparked that phone call a couple of days before Christmas. But that's kind of how those two things happened. I think Coach Marazzi came to me and just said, hey, you can be good at it, which put the seed in my mind that, hey, I can do it at this level. And then I wanted to confirm it with with Coach Skang to see if he thought I could do the same.
Right, and not only he confirmed it, he obviously offers you a job shortly after. And typically, one of the questions I always ask, kind of after when you want to be a part of the profession, was like kicking in the door for that first opportunity. And so obviously, that came from Coach Skang, at least him putting your name on the table. But all of a sudden, he comes back. And so, what happens next? How do you kind of? I know you get the job, but what did you have to do to like get on the phone with the head coach or coordinator over there and say, "Hey, look, hopefully Coach Gangarella didn't leave me hanging too much." How did you end up with the role?
Yeah, so Ed Lamb's awesome. He was my head coach. I owe a lot to him as well. And this profession, man, you got to be around good people. If you can just position yourself with some good people, like good things will happen. Yeah. So I call him afterwards. And just after I get off the phone with Skang, I call Lamb. I was like, hey, I know Skang's not coming. I don't know who the OC is going to be. Is there still an opportunity for me? He's like, yeah, you can come up. I still had to take 21 credits at Davis to finish. So I had to do that from January to March. Okay. And so he knew that going in. But what I did was I flew out there in January. I just paid. I asked them when the first day of classes were. I wanted to go meet the players, so they had a chance to know who I was because I wasn't going to get there until spring ball started, and that way I can stay in contact with them as I'm finishing up my college. So I fly out there and meet all the running backs, and Dave Aranda's our DC at the time, which is crazy. Okay. And I only met him that day because between the time in January when I met the players and went back home to finish, and the time I got back in March. Dave Aranda's taken the DC job at Hawaii, and they're looking for a minority coach to coach at Southern Utah. He doesn't know anyone that's willing to go down to Southern Utah to coach DBs. And I go from a GA going to make $5,000-$10,000, and he offers me the DB job just because I showed the initiative to go down there on my own and meet the players. So he knew I was at least going to take some initiative and try to learn some things. I played running back in college. And all of a sudden, he gives me an opportunity to be the DB coach as a full-time coach right out of college. So crazy. I don't know why he had the faith in me that he had, but I'm glad he saw something in me because it really helped me out in my career.
Well, what city is Southern Utah?
Cedar City.
Cedar City? Well, Cedar City got something magical going on because you about to go up there and be broken, struggling a little bit as most GAs do, and you all of a sudden, I was impressed as you said that. Like, I don't think I would have had even the fortitude, especially at that age, to say, man, let me get up here and just meet these guys, shake their hands, exchange numbers, let them see my face, and then I'm going to shoot back. Especially as a college student with, a kid and finances. I wouldn't imagine you were just swimming in money to take that flight. Probably a little costly too. So, kind of taking some initiative ultimately ends up to a great opportunity for you. Now, here's the hard part. You got to coach DBs, and the running back thing. You had some experience per se doing it. You obviously had the coaching experience in basketball, but it's a new position. What did you do to kind of make sure once you showed back up in spring? And I'm assuming you still had to finish to have your degree, right? So when you showed back up for spring ball, you got the DBs. How were you prepared? How did you make sure you were prepared? I guess.
Reached out to some people. Being in Utah, Aaron Alford, he passed away a while back, but he was the corners coach at Utah. So reached out to him. Reached out to some people on our staff. Ejero Evero was on our staff back then, and so just tried to pick their brains as much as possible. Ed Lamb was a DB guy, and so just trying to figure out all right, first of all, what does the college coach need to do to prepare? Because I haven't been that at all. So, what are those things? So, just making sure that you have a plan for individuals, making sure you have a plan to how you want to install, and those little things that I had no clue about. And then trying to learn. I remember the first day I finally got up there, and they're starting to talk about lever and spill and all these terminology. I'm like, what is this? I'm used to A gap, B gap. Right. I don't know what the hell's going on. So learning, just trying to figure out what my job was first and foremost. Like, all right, I need to have a plan for individuals, the techniques that we're going to use, and at least a small progression of how we're going to teach them stuff.
Yeah. And
I think that got me at least through it. I mean, and the crazy part was I was 22, and a lot of these guys, some of these safeties have been on missions. Yeah. So like these guys are 24, 25 years old.
Right.
And I lied about my age so long, I lost count for a while. Now I'm getting old, but I feel like I was 25, 26 for like 3-4 years.
And I'm happy you said it, because that was going to be my next question. Is you had to be, I was going to say 22, 23 years old, and you got these guys, and I forgot about the mission thing. I did some Division II football myself, and you could run into 28, 29-year-old guys, but obviously that Utah deal, a lot of your roster is going to end up having some type of mission work and all that good stuff. So you got guys that are older than you, and no disrespect, some of them might even know a little bit more about the position because they've been playing it since 8th grade. Where maybe you played a little bit when you were in high school and in middle school, but like a lot of these guys know the position. So like, the confidence to deal with the players, and then the confidence also to sit in the staff meeting room. I don't want to say faking it till you're making it, but not understanding what spill is quite yet. Not understanding, what some of the checks are and all that kind of stuff. So how did you, make sure that people respected you and had confidence in you, and you had confidence in yourself in a lot of these situations?
Just being honest about it. Like, first and foremost with yourself, like you don't know what the hell you're doing. Like, let's make sure that's clear.
Right.
But you do have potential. You have coached for 5 years. You can make people better. You can figure out things that can help them be successful, and letting them know straight up, like, hey, I'm going to help you be better. Like, that's my job. And I might not know everything that we're doing in this defensive scheme. So you're going to have to come along with me in that. But I'm going to work as hard as any other coach in the country to make sure that I catch up to know the things I need to know. Yeah. But at the same time, making sure that I'm giving you guys nuggets so you can, and tools that you guys can go be successful. And I think that was something that helped me out with the players, because they were like, all right, this dude might not know everything, but if he can show up consistently and be early and stay late and be willing to meet with us, then we'll be all right. We'll make sure that we get better. And as far as a coach goes, man, I grinded. My family didn't come out there with me the first 5 months or whatever. And I tried to learn from the front to the back, because they always start with stopping the run. And the DBs are an important part of that. And so if I didn't understand what lever spill was and how our run fits worked and how our keys worked, and then it was all for naught. The coverage was going to be secondary anyway. So it definitely helped me out learning the front and helped me kind of spring forward my career as other opportunities came up, like linebackers, defensive coordinator, those type of things.
Yeah. What's interesting is I've done a podcast for a while. I don't know anything that similar to walk in as a GA and end up as a full-time guy on the other side of the ball. But, similar situations where all of a sudden you've been a defense guy all this whole time, and then coach moves you over to the other side of the ball. And, one of the things that a lot of guys have said is, like, kind of getting in that uncomfortable position really made them a really good coach, because it was easy to be a running back and say, oh, okay, 5-man protection, I know what that is. Okay, cool. They're running 4 verse. Okay, cool. I know what that is. And then now it's almost like in that 5 months, you just immerse yourself in defense, and maybe you wouldn't approach it the same way from an offensive standpoint, just because you kind of already had a background knowledge, and you maybe would check some of that stuff off as already knowing. But, obviously a very, very significant part of your growth as a coach to be able to flip sides of the ball, learn all 3 phases, just so you can sit in a meeting and understand kind of what's going on, and make sure you give your best to those players. So now, I would ask, kind of, what did that switch mean to you from going from offense to defense? Was that, were you dreaming to be a big-time OC, or did you not really care at that point in time?
Yeah, this was all new to me. Again, I was going to be the best high school basketball coach in the state of California. Right. That's like, so that's where I was coming from. And so this was just an opportunity. And coming from Davis, you gotta, you don't have a realistic idea of what coaching is. Like, I thought the coach profession was like, you go coach at a school, you go teach at a school, and you're there for 20 years. Like, you don't get fired, you don't go get other jobs. Like, that's what my mindset was. Like, I even started getting my master's as soon as I got to Southern Utah so I can teach. I remember going to Coach Lamb and was like, hey, I got my master's now. Can I start teaching a class? And he was like, the hell are you talking about? Like, it don't work like that. And I was like, my bad.
Just didn't even know what you didn't know. Yeah.
So I was super, super naive and did not understand this profession. But saying all that, it's kind of worked out like that for me. Like, it was 18 years in 2 spots. So I've been blessed to be able to raise a family and not have to move a lot.
Right. Yeah, I definitely want to hit on some longevity, which is hard and fleeting in this profession at times. So you spent 2008 to 2013 as the defensive backs coach. What, just in a nutshell, what was the difference between year 1, Coach Warren, and year how many is that, 5 or 6, Coach Warren, from a defensive back standpoint?
Yeah, it was awesome because, again, I had the corners and safeties and nickel, so you got a chance to coach a lot of football, and you get to learn some more of the scheme and be able to help and those type of things. I was with Justin Enna, which is at BYU now. He was our defensive coordinator before me, and so really I was able to articulate kind of better progressions, like this is how we're going to play things. I was able to start to use my offensive skills or offensive knowledge of what offenses are trying to do to us. Because I had that background. I wasn't able to pull that early on because I was just so focused on trying to make sure I knew what the DBs were doing and doing that. But now some of that older knowledge, the pass protections, the passing concepts, those things started to come into play. And so I really started to build a philosophy of how I wanted to teach, how I wanted to coach, who I was as a coach, and how I can connect with different players because they're all different. And corners and safeties are just different by position. And so having all those guys in the room really helped me grow to be able to communicate and connect with a wide range of players.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to ask that same question again. I'm going to ask it a different way this time. I'm going to ask what was the difference between that year 1 coach in 2008 and year 5 or 6 in 2013 in the staff meeting room, in the game planning portions, and the idea portions, and the you're watching the game tape from your game. And, you chime in and say, oh, yeah, he's got to, use your voice a little louder. You speak with a little bit more authority. Like, what was the change there in that staff meeting room?
For us, it worked out really well. So Ed Lamb was the DC for 2 years. And in that moment, I was just learning and trying to figure out what I was supposed to do. We went to go study at New Mexico with Dwayne Walker and his staff down there. And right after that, he named Justin Enna the D coordinator. And me and Justin, that was both of our first jobs. I was really young. I was starting to feel like I was getting good because we had some really good players in the secondary. Yeah, sure. And so they gave him the DC job, and he came right to me and was like, hey, I know the front stuff. You're doing a good job in the secondary. Like, I'm going to need your help to kind of make this puzzle fit. And so that gave me some confidence to say, like, hey, obviously, I've gained his respect to know that, like, I know what's going on in the secondary. We just learned a different style of defense, some cover 4 stuff with Dwayne Walker. And now he's trying to integrate what Ed Lamb was doing and what Dwayne Walker was doing. And now we got to put this thing together. And he wants me to focus on how the back end fits into that. And so that gave me some confidence and some opportunity to really game plan help him game plan, help him plan out how a system's supposed to fit together. How do we merge these two things? And then obviously Lamb coming in and making sure he was okay with everything. Our first year was huge. And so that was a big growth opportunity. And then by 2013, the situational stuff and more like even the practice plans, like how do we want to get these things practiced so we're ready for a game, that started to kind of land on me as well. And he just kept giving me more and more. And I think that was the grateful part I am for Enna and Lamb. They just kept giving me more and more responsibility. Like I kept making myself valuable. And so they kept just giving me other things. Like somebody would leave that was the recruiting coordinator. Here, Demo, go be the recruiting coordinator. Yeah. Somebody was over academics. They left. They go do academics. And so it was like God was preparing me for something that I had no idea. I kept saying, like, I keep getting paid the same amount of money, but I keep getting these other responsibilities.
Yeah, right.
Like what's going on? But it ended up obviously being really good for me.
Now, I'm going to give a spoiler alert. You ultimately end up in the D.C. after that 13 season. You ultimately end up being a head coach there from 16 to 21. But we'll get to that. I want to hit the pause button. A lot of people early in their career, even myself, one of my moves I made was because I felt like my network wasn't very big. I was coaching for a coach that I played for already. So I felt like I was hearing the same thing for long, and I wanted to get out of network. And I again, time I've been on the podcast, heard many guys get on here and talk about, yeah, I'd been at this place, I played there, I just wanted to get out and kind of test the waters a little bit. Did any of that ever cross your mind as you were, kind of developing, you're starting to get some confidence, you're at a place where you got some confidence, you know what you're doing. Did any of you say, hey, I'd love to get back to Cali, or I'd love to, get a part of this staff? Did that ever cross your mind?
Yeah, a couple of times. A couple opportunities came up. And it always came down to, I believe, what we were trying to do. Like, we were on a 19-game losing streak when we first got there. We won a championship in 2010. And then all of a sudden we joined the Big Sky. And so I was super loyal to Lamb because he gave me a job when he definitely shouldn't have. I'll be honest, shouldn't have given me a job. So I was super loyal to that in that situation. And I believed in what we were doing, and I was happy with what we were doing, and it was a good environment. Not knowing that that's kind of where I am at now in my career. Like, those things are the most important, like who I'm working with. Do I believe in where we're going? But at that age, thinking about money and seeing other people move, like, those definitely crossed my mind. But I always thought I was on the right trajectory. And then when our DC left and I did become the DC, I had some job opportunities, but that was the next step for me. Like, I was the DB coach for 6 years, and then I was getting the opportunity to call plays at, 27, 28 at that time. So I thought that was something that was important for my career to be able to do at that time. And so I was always progressing. Like I said, it was like either academics, recruiting, being a head coach. Shoot, at one point I was in charge of the scholarships because I was good at math. So I was always progressing at the place I was at, and it made me feel good. So I mean, if you're a head coach and you're trying to find a way to keep your coaches, like, keep progressing them, keep giving them things that stresses them a little bit, kind of like you said earlier, like things that help them grow. Because even if there are other opportunities, you're giving them another tool in their toolbox that they can go help be successful. I think Lamb did a phenomenal job with me, kind of preparing me for what I didn't know what was coming, but preparing me for being a head coach, preparing me for being a coordinator.
So, yeah, let's talk about a little bit about what happened in that 13 to 14 transition where you moved from defensive backs to defensive coordinator. I don't know what the situation was, where the DC, your friend ended up, but how did that go down? How did you end up in the coach's office to kind of get that good information?
Yeah, so Justin left to Weber, called me, said, I'm going to Weber. I want you to come with me. So that was like the first move. I think I talked to their head coach a little bit, the head coach that he was going to go coach for. And then, so had that opportunity, but didn't know what was going on in Southern Utah. Talked to my wife about it as soon as I heard that. And then she was like, well, we'll see what happens. I'm sure Lamb will call you here in any second or any moment once he finds out and knows what he wants to do. So Lamb called me on the phone and offered me the defensive coordinator job and said he believed in what I was doing. And there was another coach on staff, Ryan Hunt, that's still there at D-line. And he was somebody that we were there at the same time. So he could have did the job just as easy. So it wasn't like, oh yeah, you're the next in line. Like, that was never said or anything. So him giving me that opportunity at that age, again, just giving me another opportunity to grow, I was very grateful and loyal. So called in and told him I was going to stay and be the coordinator and kind of see how that went for a couple of years. And and so that was kind of how that transition happened.
Yeah. So, you mentioned your wife, and then anytime the wife gets mentioned in the story, I do like to integrate them a little bit. You end up in a profession. You've been extremely fortunate. I mean, even up until now, for the volatility not to really hit to where you've had to, go take a job across the map in Florida or something like that. and she's watching you grow. She's watching you get better at your craft. You get this job. First and foremost, what was that small win, that celebration like for you to, just walk in as running backs GA and a couple years later, be named the defensive coordinator? What were the feelings that kind of went through you when you got that call?
The first one was awesome because we had a kid, and so the benefits were huge.
Yeah.
The first out the gate, that one was huge. The second one was, it was almost expected, not expected, but like we knew that was the next. Like we were working hard. We felt like we were an important part of what we were doing on defense, and so when we had our conversations about my career, like we thought that was the next step. Was like, here, you can do this here. Right. I don't know if you can do it anywhere else, but here, like you're pretty important to what's going on defense, and so we think that they'll give you an opportunity. And so, so that one was good because it was like, all right, are we going to Weber? Like, what right. are we going to stay here? And so it was like we kind of understood. Like if he offered it, we wanted to take it. That we thought that was the next step, and so we were happy. It's not like life changing, like when we were talking about the FBS level. Yeah. So it was like, we were going from 35 to 45. So, but it was huge. And honestly, at that moment in my life, I was like, I could stay here forever. I could live off 45, 50. Like this is good. Like right. I'm good. This is my Davis dream. I always dreamed of. Right. So we were happy. We were content to what we were doing, but I'm sure we'll keep going down my career, but she's been a rock throughout it. And there's been times where we have not had success and she's been able to help me through that. So
yeah, for sure. And so I guess the main point you kind of hit it right there was, you had that dialogue like, hey, this is us packing our stuff up, getting our kid and, heading up to, I don't know exactly where Weber is and the whole thing, but, heading up to wherever that location is. And, so you sat there and had that dialogue with her and include her in the decisions and all that good stuff. That's awesome to hear. And so, now good news, a little bump financially, got a little bit, bigger role and all those good things. And now you walk out that office, now you're a defensive coordinator. What was your approach to the job? It seems like you were probably pretty prepared to do this, but game day, game one, you got to make the calls. It's a lot different. What were some of the, I don't know, the approaches that you took to it and some of the struggles that you might have had as a first-time defensive coordinator?
Yeah, you always feel prepared for that job that you want, that you've been working for until you get in that seat. Mm-hmm. And then you realize the amount of detail, the amount of work, the amount of people, especially when you're moving up, like the amount of people that you affect. Like you see it through the lens of like, oh, I can structure a defense. Oh, I can call a game, but it's a lot more than that. You got to make sure that you have the staff understand what the plan is and be able to execute it and feel connected to the plan. So they feel conviction in what they're doing. Then you have the players that are not technically guys you've coached. And you got to get them on board so that they can believe in you and give them a plan and give them a vision to be able to go execute. And again, going back to my original point, talking about the two high school basketball coaches, you got to do it in your own way. Yeah. And so even though Justin Nina was a phenomenal coach and had a great structure, like I had to figure out who I was going to be because I was going to have to lead this ship. Yeah. And so that took a lot more time than you expect. Just again, because you got to talk to every staff member, you got to talk to every player, you got to make sure that they know who you are and what you stand for and what you're going to ask of them. And so I think those were the things that I took a lot of time with my first year, and we were terrible once we got in the middle of the season. We started out kind of hot, and then we went downhill, and so it was definitely a humbling experience to be able to put all that work in, because you're always taught, hey, if you work hard, you'll have success, and it's not always like that. And we were grinding more than anybody else, and just as much as everybody else, and we did not have the success that we wanted that year. And it was we finished it strong. And I remember going in and reading some scriptures to our guys about just if you get tired, like doing the normal things, like you're not going to be ready for the greatness that can come up. And that was some of the stuff late in the year we really focused on. Like, if these games really don't matter because we don't have a great record, we're like 2-9 at the time, and you're tired and you don't have enough energy for that. Like, do you think you're going to have the energy and have the focus when we're going to go win championships?
Right.
And I remember that speech, and when you're not good, you don't know what's going to happen the next year. So I remember getting emotional and making sure that those guys understood, like, we're going to finish this the right way. We're going to do things the right way. And we have to have that energy that it takes to be a champion. And we went out and played a great game versus NAU at the end of that season. And thought that really propelled us into the next year, which we were a top 10 defense in the country. But that moment, I remember going through going through a hard season, a down season, and being able to have those guys believe was like, all right, you can do this no matter the ups and downs of this profession, because you're doing it the way you believe in. And at the end of the day, that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah. You as you were kind of telling that story about the middle of the season, probably the quote of my favorite quote I've ever heard at the convention was said, what did he say? He said, you get these jobs, you get a head coaching job, you get this defensive coordinator job, and you're envisioning the season, and you never envision it going bad. You do not envision, oh yeah, man, we're gonna go 2-9 and we're gonna finish strong versus Northern Arizona. Like, that's not what you were thinking. And you get in the mix, and it was like, that's when you really can separate yourself as a coach. When it's not going well, how can you respond? And so I guess the question I got for you was, this is year one, and you came off hot. You don't seem like the type that might be feeling yourself, but you're feeling good, right? Yeah, you came out hot, and then all of a sudden you hit this wall. Like, what did you do? Like, that door closed. It's you sitting in there in the staff meeting room. Like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? How are you self-reflecting and realizing that, hey man, maybe I'm not being myself. Maybe we're not spending enough time on this. Like, how did you really, dig yourself out of that, maybe place that could go south for a lot of guys?
Yeah. One, really just write down the issues we were having. Like, me and Janelle Guilford, he's at BYU as well now. That kind of was my right-hand man. I hired him right before that season, and we broke down more, and I still do it to this. I still break down a lot, but we broke down more like columns than anybody could ever think of.
Right.
And we were trying to figure out why we were losing plays. So, like, first down, like 4 or more. 4 yards you lose, 3 yards you win. Second down, half the distance. Third down, obviously win or lose. But we were breaking down all those losses. And then we tried to break it down to why we were losing. Was it structural? Was it mental? And was it physical? And then once we kind of figured that out, all right, is it mental? And it's something that we're not doing right to get these guys prepared to understand our defense or understand what they're trying to do. Is it structural? Then we need to change some of the defensive things that we're doing. Or is it physical? And then maybe we need to get some different guys in those situations so they can go be successful, or put our guys in better situations so they're not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, if he keeps messing up on the same thing, like he's playing catch technique, then maybe we shouldn't have his ass play catch technique. Right. Maybe we should try something different with him, if that's our guy. So we really try to find the problems and then try to come up with a plan of how to fix it. Okay, like, here's the issues. It's mental. Okay, here's what we can do in practice to make it better. All right, here's the structural issues. Here's some things that we can teach different in practice, or change the defense slightly so we don't have that issue. And then it's if it was a person, it was physical, then how can we put those guys in different positions? But we wanted to come through that in a plan, and then so here's the problems, and then underneath that, here's how we're going to fix that in these 3 days of practice. So the next time we go out there, we're a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And then the next week, we're just a little bit better. And if we could just keep doing that, eventually we'll have success.
Yeah. And, you may mention, I'm hoping I understood you clear there. You were talking about, you have a season like that. You kind of don't know what's on the other side of that end of that season. And, whether that's been retained, whether it's been able to keep your job, whatever that looks like. But you guys were able to turn that around, significantly. And you kind of pinpointed that win versus Northern Arizona as maybe kind of the the propeller of that whole deal. How did you approach spring and even to the fall to make sure that next season was as epic as it was?
Yeah, so me and JG was a big part. Ryan Hunt was huge in this as well, but me and JG really spent a lot of time of really breaking that season down and really structuring our defense. I went to talk to Coach Lamb after the season and kind of gave him what my thoughts were, and I wanted to change some things, and he was all about it. And the credit to him, wasn't good as a young coach, but he had the confidence in me to go fix some things. And so me and JG went to work, and we went to all right, here's our base defense, and here's the issues with our base defense. So how do we structure a system around how to cover up some of those holes? And we came up with some different things. And we had Tommy Collette was a young safety coach, because I ended up losing my linebacker coach 2 weeks before my first year being the DC. And so I ended up coaching linebackers pretty late, or coaching linebackers that next year. So I was coaching safeties the first year. I coached linebackers the second year. Right before my second year, he left. So losing that actually opened my mind up, because now I was in the middle of everything. And so I was in the run fits and the pass fits. I liked that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And we were playing Chucky Keaton. I think they were ranked at that time, Utah State. They were really good our upcoming season. And we ended up losing 9-5 or 12-9. We only gave up 3 points on defense. We gave up a punt return, and we were lights out. And so it was cool to all that work we put in, all the work during the season, all the work after the season. All right, now we're an elite defense. This is exactly what we were talking about. We just shut down an FBS offense that's supposed to be dynamic. Now my confidence is through the roof. I'm 28, 29, and I'm all right, this is what I thought I can be. I can actually be that. And then we go play South Dakota State, and we give up 50 the next week, or 40-something, something crazy. And I call my wife, babe, I don't think I can do this. So I was I don't know if this is it. I thought I was good, but and I remember her on the phone, because this is right after the game at South Dakota, and she's like, babe, I've seen you be successful for the first 7 years of your career. You always have had some downfalls, but I know you can do this. The coaches believe in you, the players believe in you. You wouldn't have been able to do what you did week one if they didn't. Mm-hmm. And so this is just a little hiccup. You'll figure out what the issues were, and you'll get them corrected. And so, and there was some issues. We needed to structurally change some things, which helped us out the rest of the season. And I think we ended up not giving up a touchdown, 6 out of the next 7 games or something crazy like that. So we got on a hot streak. But my wife was a huge part of that, because that was one of the darkest days of coaching. That was when I was I don't know if I can actually coach. Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And when you have those moments, those can be tough, man. But there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And I when I hear this story, leading all the way back to the previous year where you and JG kind of got, in the lab and just basically broke all that stuff down and kind of really looked at it. I just have been on staffs, played for guys where, hey man, this is our system. I know it works. I know it works. I don't know. I think it takes some confidence to look at it and say, hey, you know what? Something is broke. Let's fix it. And even after that, that second game there, that season where you said, hey, we got to make some structural changes, after you spent your whole offseason making structural changes, just the confidence and to do that, I think, or knowing when to do that. Sometimes it's not always the answer to make a structural change, but just knowing when to do it. I mean, I think that's huge. You guys are going to have a fantastic year. And then now something even more special pops up. In 16, you have the opportunity to become the head coach there. And so once again, I would love to ask about the transition. How did that spot come open, and how did you end up being a guy?
Again, it's about making yourself valuable. Our head coach left. I remember getting a call asking if I wanted to be the interim head coach, and I always heard if you were the interim, you'd never get the job. So I was like, no, I don't want to be the interim. But then he was like, no, I think you should be the interim. But at the same time, I want you to come to BYU with me. And again, making yourself valuable to the people around you, because that's your best resume. If you could make your head coach the best head coach you can be, if you could make your DC, the OC, the best OC, DC they can be, those are the guys that are going to get you jobs. And so our DC, the one I worked for, got a better job. Our head coach got a better job. And so I was valuable to them. And so they both offered me jobs to go. Right. And so but the head job, the AD called me and was like, hey, I'm going to do a national search. We're going to have some great candidates. If you want to throw your hat in there, go ahead. So at that moment, when I heard that, I was like, all right, well, guess I'm going to BYU, which is fine. Like, that's a great opportunity. Yeah. But I'm going to do the best job I can in this interim role and make sure the guys finish school and do those things. So we just lost in the playoffs. And I wanted to make sure that they finished their classes out and make sure the staff was at least supported as much as I can support them as an interim coach. So he does a natural search, and I have an interview with him in his office, and got to be a finalist. So I went from however many people they talked to on the phone to 6 people. And I remember the day before we go to, for whatever reason, we're interviewing in Colorado. So I got to take a flight to Colorado to go interview for the job in Southern Utah. But my wife wakes up and was like, she woke up and was like teared up and like, I want to stay here. Because I, in my mind at that point, I was going to BYU. Like, I was like, this is fun. Like, I'm getting experience to be a head coach, but like, I'm going to BYU. Like, they're not going to hire me. I'm not really worried about it. And then, yeah, she tells me that, and I'm like, well, shoot, I need to make sure I lock in and do the best job I can in this in-person interview. So, got the opportunity to sit in front of the AD, assistant AD, and one of the big boosters that ended up being a really close friend of mine. But I got to sit in that room and kind of get the 3-hour interview about what my philosophy was, what my vision was, why I can do the job. And really my whole mindset was just putting their mind at ease that not only have I have a plan, I've executed a lot of this plan because I've done academics, because I've done recruiting, because I've been a coordinator, because I've done scholarships. I know how hard it is in Cedar City. And just put their mind at ease that not only do I have a plan, I've done the plan, and I've put all the plan in writing. And so I've taken that extra step of like, hey, this is what it looks like. And so if you want to see what it looks like, turn to page 34. If you want to see what this looks like, turn to page 20. So they're peppering questions, and I'm prepared and ready to go. So, and then I was myself in that meeting, and I called my wife afterwards and said, hey, if they don't hire me, it's not because, if they hire me, it's going to be because of who I am. Like I showed them who I was prepared. And if they don't hire me, then I just wasn't the guy that they wanted, which is fine. And so I don't think they wanted to hire me. It was it was between me and another guy. And I think the other guy kind of messed it up in the process because he was trying to juggle 2 jobs. And so I think I did a good enough job, and I was valuable enough to the program that they wanted to keep me there as like the head coach in waiting, and be the DC, which I don't know what I would have done because I learned all this after the fact I got hired. But luckily the other guy screwed it up or gave me an opportunity to be a head coach. It was an awesome experience.
Well, there you go. And you have an opportunity to prove those people right now at this point in time. And so very quickly, year 2, Big Sky Conference champs, FCS playoff appearance, AFCA Region 5 Coach of the Year, Big Sky Co-Coach of the Year. What was that process of getting handed the keys to the program to year 2? What were the leaps that allowed for you to have that success so quickly?
I was surrounded by a ton of great people. We put a structure in together. Got to keep a lot of the staff around. Had a phenomenal DFO, helped me out a ton, taking things off my plate so I could focus on the things I needed to do. Had a great head strength guy that's at the Buffalo Bills now. So it was cool. Like I was engaged in all the hirings, engaged in like just building like a program to make it the best it possibly can be. And that was fun. Like taking over for Lamb, like Lamb did it his way. And I wanted to take all the good things that he did and try to build it to make something even better. And those first 2 years were fun. It was hard. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of long nights. But able to have a winning season the first year and then carry that back to being a champion the next year. So that great experience for us to kind of climb that mountain and do something that we did in 15. So go 2 out of 3 years being Big Sky champs in one of the most competitive conferences in the country at that level.
Yeah, man. I mean, what a tremendous opportunity to kind of take over and, just have quick success, find that quick success. One of the things that I guess always interests me is you get around these guys that are very impactful for you in your career. He was the head coach with you for a long time. Like, how do you not take that job and, try to be a clone of him? Like, how do you have the foresight to say, man, it's important that I'm myself. I'm Coach Warren. Yeah, I take the good stuff, as you mentioned, but I still got things that are very unique to me. Because that seems to be like when some of the guys have some, issues early on, they say, man, I was trying to be the last guy. I was trying to be the guy that went and took the better job because he was really good. I was trying to be like him. And when I was myself, I was a lot better. How did you know to approach it that way?
Again, I think it all starts like you can't lead what you don't live long term. And if I'm a certain way and I live my life a certain way, like I got to lead that way. Well, going back to the high school coaches, like they were 2 different personalities and had success in their own different way. And Biggs was a little bit different. Lamb was a little bit different. So I haven't been in that same mold of leader. I've seen a different type of leaderships throughout my career. And I've been blessed to see that because it's like, all right, they've all been successful.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's not a right way and a wrong way to do it. It's just, you got to do it in the way that's you. And then you can live with that at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. It makes it a lot easier to live with that. Now, yeah, obviously you're the head coach there for I believe 5 years. Last year, I believe you let go. What was kind of that process? All right, that's the ugly part of this deal. You've had a heck of a run in Southern Utah at a place that I can only imagine that's how special to you, your wife, and your kid. But it comes to an end. How did you handle that?
So the crazy part. So I don't know if I probably haven't said this publicly, but before our last game, we're struggling, and I prayed right before the game. I said, Lord, just show me that this is the place you want me to be here. Because we've had some really good games that year. Like we almost beat Montana on the road. We lost by a field goal block at the end of the game. And they were number 5 in the country. So we had a little bit of success, but I'm like, hey, we don't have a great record. I think we won 1 game at the time. I'm like, just show me that this is a place. Like, show me that you're making me go through this because you want me to be here, and that this is where you want me to be here going forward. And we got destroyed. I have never got beat like that before in my life. I was like, oh my God, it was the clearest sign that I've ever had in my life. I was like, well, I appreciate that. I didn't want to go through that, but I guess I asked for it. And this is not the place for me. And I talked to my wife the next day, and I tell her that story, and I'm like, I think that's it. Like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. So I call my AD and I tell her like, hey, I need to meet the next day. And I thought she was going to fire me. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen going in. And I said, hey, so what's your plan? And she was like, you're my coach. And I'm like, okay. So then I tell her my feelings of like what just happened, and we had some fundraising that we needed to get done. We were entering a new conference that I thought was a great opportunity to win. I had 1 year left on my contract, and it's like, all right, let's play these scenarios out. Like, if I go 6-5, like, are you really going to renew me, or you hire a new coach and he goes 5-6, 6-5, and all of a sudden there's some good momentum for the program. And this is a program I've been a part for 14 years, so this is something I really believe in and want to help go forward. And if I'm not supposed to be here, then I want to make sure we set this thing up the right way. And so we talked through that whole scenario and kind of come to a mutual agreement that this is probably the best thing to do. And she said, come back in the morning, see if you feel the same way. And came back in the morning and shed a lot of tears with my assistant head coach at the time, Ryan Hunt, because they wanted me to kind of stick it out and do it one more year, and the AD, and decided not to, and then went to the coaches staff and thought I was going to be all right because I shed a lot of tears earlier and broke down again. And then maybe I'm just a crybaby, but thought I was going to be good when I got in front of the players, and wasn't there either. So it was definitely an emotional day because that's our home. Like we were there for 14 years. Cedar City was amazing for me and my family, the coaches that we went through. Aaron Fernandez was there almost every day I was there. Justin Walterscheid now at Northern Colorado. Even I had to let go of guys during that time. Like it was not easy. It was hard. But at the same time, it was all great experiences to learn from and grow from. And it was hard leaving that place just because it was a part of not only my life, but my family's life for so long.
Man, that's I don't know if I've ever quite heard an ending like that to a place. And so obviously it's a leap of faith to a certain extent because, maybe if you got Boise State lined up in the background, that conversation is a little easier because you're good, right? But so what next, right? You basically resigned. You kind of move on. It's very emotional for you. It's tough for you. I can only imagine how tough it is on the wife and the kid who, I'm kind of doing the math. He's probably 15, 16 at that point in time, right?
Yeah, I was going to his junior year. Yeah, or middle of his junior year.
Right.
Yeah.
So, friends, just all the stuff, how hard it is to move around with high school age kids. Man, that's tough. So, like, what you come home and you sit on the couch the next morning, you don't got work to go to. What happens next?
You think it's a dream. You're like, all right, I'm going to go back to work. I've been doing this so long, but it's not. It's for real. And the crazy part was we had a bye our last week.
Okay.
So this is like FCS ends early, and we had a bye that last week. So this is like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So there's not even no jobs available. So we're still like trying to figure out what's going to happen next, and talking to my agent, and just start to work. Because now I'm a head coach. Like I'm not going to be a head coach, obviously, so I don't need to prepare for that. But I need to prepare for individual meetings. I need to prepare for coordinator meetings.
Right.
And so that's kind of where my mindset went. It was just like I'm going to spend a couple hours every day preparing for these next interviews and see what my coaches need, if they need any help from me, because I know they're going to be looking at the same time. And it ended up really well for a lot of guys. Like Robert Balla is now the co-DC at Florida. He was my DC at Southern Utah that last year. Matt Wade was the quarterback coach at Fresno State last year. He was my offensive coordinator. So it ended up working out. And again, I think God's timing is always right. And I didn't know why I was supposed to step down, but a lot of people flourished after that. And a lot of guys that were able to get jobs. And Keith Bonifant, KB, was the one that kind of got me in on Boise late. Like I think it was like New Year's Eve. He gave me a call and was like, "Would you be interested in this?" And I was like, Boise, heck yeah. Like, I don't know anything about it, but I know they win. And that's something I want to get back to because we've been losing for a little bit here. And I want to see kind of how you sustain winning because that was probably way harder than climbing the mountain was dealing with success. And that's something that is really I've learned how people do that being at Boise.
Absolutely. You mentioned JG a couple of times. I know he's not part of this, but I want to mention we had him on the podcast not too long ago. That's been awesome. And we also had Coach Danielson, and I know he was at Boise as a DC prior to kind of getting that, I guess, interim for almost a full season and then getting a full-time job. So when you showed up, was it Coach Danielson or was it the previous guy? Okay, so he's the one that hired you. And I obviously would have. It's I won't say funny. It was funny as you kind of told the story about, hey, send me a sign, and you just get obliterated, and then now about 5 minutes later in our story, you're able to say, man, all these guys ended up in these really good jobs, and you end up in a phenomenal place where we all just got to witness you guys make a heck of a run, a very talented roster. I know obviously Ashton Genty gets a lot of the attention, but the defense was phenomenal. Offense, other guys it was just a really, really good program. Just talk about, I guess, I don't know, just the journey, not that it's ended now, but just the journey all the way up into that. Like, I know at times there you were never envisioned that you'll be wearing a different uniform and having that type of success. What was it like for you to, kind of walk away from Southern Utah, which was so special, and 2 years later you're in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think anytime you struggle with something that's important to you, you do have to go through some building that confidence back and going back to work and seeing it through a new lens. And I think I've been very blessed and grateful to be around great people throughout my career, but also also continue to just grow and get better. And now I'm in a situation where I've been in Danielson's shoes, I've been in Coach Chin's shoes, and now I can really look at it through a different lens. Like, it's not just about being the best deep corner coach I can be. It's about how can I serve the coordinator? How can I be the best corners coach that serves the coordinator? And how can I make his life a little bit easier? Because I know all the stresses and all the things that he has on his plate. And same thing with the head coach. Is there anything that I can do to take something off of him, or at least give him a different perspective? And I think that's what's cool about my career. I think people in this profession, like, you haven't been a coordinator, haven't been a head coach, you're just grinding. And at the age of, what was I? I can't even think now, 30, I don't know, 35, 36, I've had every position there is. And now I don't have to be striving to do those things. I can really enjoy what I'm doing. I can be at a place that I enjoy. Again, going back to when I first started coaching, like, it was about being the good people and being loyal to that situation, because Lamb gave me an opportunity, and I can do that now because I haven't done everything, but I've done a lot. And so I've been blessed to be able to do a lot at a young age, and now get to enjoy this and try to help as many coaches as I can. So yeah. That's where I'm at now.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting, as we kind of come to a close here, I've been on a podcast before. I've had some guys that have been a head coach and then end up as coordinators, and they say how much of a better coordinator they were because of that time frame being a head coach, and, you know, or they go back to being a position coach, because you have such a more unique understanding of what that head coach needs from you, not because, you know, he told you so, but because you lived it, you know, and it's really excelled in it. So you have the opportunity to do that. Once again, you helped lead the Broncos to a 12-2 season this past year, back-to-back Mountain West Conference champs in 23 and 24, and reached college football playoff quarterfinals in 2024. Man, we are fired up about you and what you guys are accomplishing over there. It's a heck of a staff, man. You know, and like I said, had the podcast with Coach Danielson, and he's just such a unique and, you know, just good dude, genuinely good people. And, you know, I think putting yourself around good people, and you probably said it on the podcast already, I believe you did, is so paramount to just having success in this thing. It's just been around good people. But before I let you go, man, I wanted to bring up 2019. You were a part of the AFCA 35 class. Just real quick, man, what did being selected to that mean to you? And what was your experience, and why would you encourage others to be a part of that?
Yeah, it was an honor to be able to be a part of the 35 for under 35. I mean, there are some great coaches that came through that class and classes past. And then it's the experience. You hear from people like Coach Franklin, Penn State, and bringing different coaches and different people from not even just coaches, but financially. There's different education that you go through in that process, that day that you get to spend with all those other great coaches. And then when the session breaks, you're able to break off and talk ball and talk about their journeys, because everybody's journey is a little bit different. And so you're able to just meet new people and be able to be connected with something that's, because your logo connects you, but now I'm connected to all these people that have been through that program as well. And now you got an alumni base of, I don't know how many guys you got now, but it's probably over 100 or pretty close to it. Yeah. And so you're able to reach out to yourself and other people to be able to connect with these great coaches from around the country at a young age. And they're all going to develop differently. They're all going to end up going different directions, but it's great to be a part of something that's bigger than yourself, and a part of something that really strives to help people out each and every year. So it's cool. You guys are doing a great job.
I appreciate it, man. Well, we appreciate you for help elevating that program, man. And, you know, this is going to be, I don't know if I ever say this too much on the podcast. Dan, I always say, I look forward to see you at the convention. I hope I don't see you at this convention. I hope you guys can go on another run and, you know, not be available for the convention, man. But either way, we'll be cheering you guys on, man. And look forward to catching up with you later, okay?
All right. Thanks, Mario.
All right, man. Have a good one.
When communication counts, trust the headsets trusted by the best. From high schools to the biggest college programs, CoachComm keeps coaches connected and teams prepared to win. Learn more at CoachComm.com.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Inside the Headset, presented by CoachComm. If you'd like to learn more about this week's episode, head over to AFCA.com. There, you can access every episode and find corresponding show notes. Remember, you can catch every episode of Inside the Headset presented by CoachComm on wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. While you're there, we'd love for you to take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Your feedback helps us improve and grow. Keep up with the latest news by following us on social media. Connect with us at Inside the Headset and remember to tag us when you share your favorite episodes. For more updates on all things AFCA, be sure to follow the @WeAreAFCA social media accounts. If you're not a part of the AFCA community yet, visit AFCA.com to join thousands of NFL, college, and high school coaches nationwide and across the globe. Elevate your coaching game with an AFCA membership. You'll gain exclusive access to the annual AFCA convention, magazine, digital library, and AFCA Insider email. Stay up to date with the latest stories and news on the AFCA website. More than just a convention, the AFCA offers continuous education, guidance, networking, and more. Celebrate the past and shape the future with the AFCA. It's about fostering exceptional coaches who create outstanding teams and even better individuals. Invest in your skills and make a lasting impact today by engaging with the AFCA. Your journey starts here.